Okay. All right. Get into the program today. Thank you, Jacob, and thank you all for being here. And I can't say, even though Jonathan has mentioned Mayor Garcetti outlined a lot of the things he's accomplishing, hyper impressive. I have to start in the same place. I live in Washington, D.C., and we look at LA, what LA is doing all the time. And Plan LA, you guys are committing to an 80% reduction from 1990 of your fossil fuel emissions by 2050. The federal standards are 28%, 26 to 28% from the 2005 standards. That is a big goal, and this city is moving in the right direction under Mayor Villalobos and Mayor Garcetti. And they both talked about the climate mayors thing, and you can see the spike after February as we pulled out of the Paris Accords. LA, Mayor Garcetti started that, and LA is leading the whole nation, bringing cities. Right now, there are 9 states with 43% of the GDP in this country that have committed to the Paris Accords, plus all the cities, plus all the higher education institutions, plus all the hospitals, plus all the churches. This country is by itself going to climate change, going to solve climate change. And here in LA, I want to thank Jonathan and the Climate Resolve team for just being the most effective local organization of addressing climate change. There's organizations like these in a number of cities, none of them as powerful as what Jonathan and his team is doing here. I want to thank the ecoAmerica team and say happy birthday to Peggy. And I also want to especially welcome and thank all of you for being here. This is the obligatory climate slide. You can't have Climate Day LA without a climate slide. Of course, these are all LA up in the upper left. That's Palm Springs last week, 2 days in a row, 122 degrees high temperature, all-time record in Palm Springs. For those of you who pay attention, is 123 degrees. And in the valley just north of here last week, they had some fires. And you might remember last February, there was a bunch of rain here. I learned a new term called atmospheric river. And enough floods have come down, rain has come down in California to block Highway 1 going through Big Sur right now. They say it's going to take $1 billion to fix that one thing. And then we've got the snow and the water problem. But all these impacts are things that LA is working to address and move the world forward. Some people, Jacob, some people are trying to stop us from doing climate change. Some people addressing climate change. Some people think it's a hoax and are promoting fossil fuels. But I want to show you that the American public, there's some myths that they keep throwing in our face to slow us down. And one myth, the old myths were, no, it's not happening, and no, it's not us. And this is Gallup's polls, long-term trends, and you can see the vast majority of Americans right now are believing that climate change is real. And over the past 2 years, we've gotten up to 68% of Americans now believe that it is primarily or exclusively caused by human beings. So America is moving toward climate solutions. This is an old myth. Since that myth is going away, they're creating some new myths to stop us from acting on climate change. The first myth is that we can't stop it. It's too big of a challenge to replace our current energy system with a new energy system. On the upper left there, that's wind and solar power in the United States of America. 10 years ago in May, it was less than 1% of the total electricity in the country. March of this year, it was over 10%. If we just continue, if that ramps up even more, but if it just continues on that, that's a huge trend of taking carbon out of the atmosphere. And then on the right side here, you've got the corporations. There's the RE100 program. There are hundreds of corporations, big ones in America, that have all committed to going to 100% renewable energy. And of course, in addition to the Mayor's Climate Group, it's the Sierra Club, Environment America, a bunch of the environmental groups are helping and promoting cities to commit to going to 100% power. So globally and nationally, everybody's working on this problem, and we'll come back to that in a second. The second myth that people tell you right now to try to discourage you from acting on climate change is that if we stop polluting now, the world's going to keep getting warmer for 30 or 40 more years. It's not going to make a difference. But as Jonathan mentioned, just one day of riding bikes in LA, not nearly all over LA, if you stop, every bit of carbon we take out of the atmosphere reduces ocean acidification, and it will reduce hospital visits in the next week, in the next month. So the benefits of climate change of solving climate change are real. And the mayor and Jonathan talked about jobs. When you manufacture energy with solar power and wind power, it creates 3 times as many jobs as when you burn for your energy. And those jobs are typically double the pay of people that are working on truck drivers and gas stations and things like that. Solar panels installers make much more. So we'll solve the health problem, we'll boost our economy, and we will be able to help the world move forward on climate action. The third myth is that you don't make a difference, okay? That the people here don't make a difference. And I just put up some slides from LA. We talked about Move LA, we've talked about Climate Resolve, and the stuff that all of you are doing today. Everyone here, they tell you you can't do anything about it. China, you're too small, you don't make a difference. Every day, your decisions on transportation, on the food that you eat, on the energy that's powering your home, every day, those things make a difference. So in everything you do, you can make a difference on climate change. I wanted to show you that the movement is going beyond the environmentalists. Most people here have deep roots caring about climate change, but this is the American Public Health Association. 2 years ago, climate change was in a subgroup behind a bunch of other issues at the American Public Health Association. Today, this year, the American Public Health Association has declared climate change, this is the year of climate change, the global health challenge. And they are empowering public health departments in cities and states and all other medical professions in America. They're leading the way by saying that climate change is the #1 health issue in America, in the world. We need to take action, not environmentalists. And I wanted to also give a shout out here. I don't know if Jackie DuPont Walker is here in the AME Church. The AME Church is leading the faith community on climate action. They've come up, it's like the #2 issue on their webpage. They have a whole program, they've got videos, they've got guides for their churches. And when the church declares climate change as a moral issue, it empowers everybody in that church and all the grassroots activists that are trying to work with faith communities. It empowers them, it makes it official that climate change is a moral action. There's one other thing here. My last closing point is that some of you might know that in 1970 we passed the Clean Air Act, and there's a little provision there that for California that gives you a waiver from federal regulations so long as they are stronger than the federal regulations. So California is in a unique legal, political position from any other state and any other entity in America to lead on climate change. And that's why the Canadians and the Mexicans go up to San Francisco to sign a climate pact. That is why Governor Brown is working with the UN. Other governors could not do that. California and Los Angeles, you can pick your future and you can lead here. And when you lead, because California by itself is the 6th largest country in the world, Los Angeles has $700 billion of annual economic activity. It's the 3rd biggest metropolitan economy in the world. When LA moves and California moves, the world has to follow. So I want to close by asking you to take action. And the light bulbs, as you moved from incandescent to LED lights, that stuff makes a difference. But what really makes the difference is what you say and do in your communities. And I want to encourage you to think of people as groups, as tribes. We're all individuals, but when you can move a church, when you can move a community, when you can move a hospital, when you can move a workplace toward climate solutions, you get the reinforcement of everybody in that work group and you change them. If you change one person, it's hard. It's like learning French and then going back to America where nobody speaks French. So I want to encourage you to whatever communities you're in, to try to convince them to act on climate change. And here at ecoAmerica, Jacob, there's a lot of resources on the ecoAmerica websites, different programmatic guides to mitigate, to adapt for health, faith, business, higher education, and communities. It's very important to understand how to communicate with people on climate change. We have a lot of guides up there on the website to help you do that as well. And then as we wrap up here, I wanted to tell you that we can solve climate change. There's absolutely no doubt, there should be absolutely no doubt in your mind that we can solve it. If this country, if this city and state and country decided to solve climate change, the adaptation rates for electric power and solar power would all triple. We can solve this easily. We just have to get together and do that. And events like Climate Day LA hopefully are giving you some ideas and some empowerment to do that. So I'm done with that, and if Ramel is around, I want to introduce Ramel Pascal. Ramel is the executive director of Cyclovia, and he was deputy mayor of Energy and Environment with Mayor Villagrosa. And his leadership is one of the concrete actions that's moving Los Angeles and America forward on climate change. Thank you very much.